I am incapable of sleeping, so I have been up all night watching documentaries. Have y'all ever seen the documentary There's Something Wrong with Aunt Diane? I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. It's fucked up, and it's extremely relatable for me. Um, Aunt Diane killed a bunch of people. Not intentionally, probably. She was drunk. The problem with Aunt Diane was that she was a closeted alcoholic. And one day, while her and her brother-in-law and their children were on vacation, they were traveling to another area. I guess they were just ending the vacation, leaving the campgrounds. Diane, with her car full of children, drove the wrong way on the Teutonic Parkway for 2 miles before crashing headfirst into a vehicle that held 3 men who all died. Everybody in the car with Aunt Diane died except for one child. And it's a pretty open and shut case. They did toxicology reports that came back and it said Diane was wasted. 1.9 was what was in her system. They said at least 10 drinks. They said there was a whole bunch of THC too, but I'm not demonizing THC on this channel. It's not going, the marijuana is not going to do nearly as much damage as 10 alcoholic beverages while driving a vehicle that contains 8 children. Now, I've seen other documentaries and people talking about this that went pretty hard on the marijuana usage. I think that's ridiculous. The reason that there is a documentary about this is because of the family's denial. Because this family just will not accept that the woman was a drinker. Even with the toxicology reports, with the crash. And just before the crash, the children were calling the parents and telling them, something is wrong with Aunt Diane. Something's wrong. And Diane got mad and took the phone from the child that called for help and threw it out the door. Or left it somewhere. Because she didn't want help. Because she was an alcoholic and nobody knew she was an alcoholic. And she knew that if another adult showed up to pick up the children, her secret would be exposed. And she, in her mind, her life would be ruined. Now imagine killing yourself and your 8 children because you believe your life is going to be destroyed by people finding out you're a drinker. These are the priorities that alcoholics have. These are the priorities that drug addicts have. And I've seen it firsthand. And we almost had our own Aunt Diane crash in this family. See, the crash that injured my Aunt Martha very badly could have killed other people. What if she had hit another car instead of hitting the guardrail of the bridge? And the reason that she crashed was because she was high on pain medication and in a desperate rush to get home before her husband's timer ran out and they found out she had stopped off to get the pain medication. It was more important to her to be high than to be safe and to ensure the safety of everybody else around her. When you're on drugs, that's how it is. And there's denial. This family is in such denial about the problems that we have. Just like Diane Schuler's family. The husband of Diane actually had the toxicology reports retested. He didn't trust the official testing. So he paid somebody extra to retest the samples. And they came back the same. because the tests weren't the problem. Diane's drinking was. And the fact that nobody knew it, and the fact that she needed to keep it a secret. This is partially why I don't keep my problems secret. If I have something going on, I tell people. Because you can't get help if you don't tell people. And if you're trying to live a secret life, it's all eventually going to crash down. Alright, so here's a short clip from There's Something Wrong with Aunt Diane that pretty much says the entire thing. The cop's going to tell you what was in her system, and her husband is going to tell you he's lying, that woman never drank a drop, she was perfect. And that's the entire problem, is the denial that even after she's dead and been tested and it's been proven, that they still will stand around and say, we don't believe the facts that you're showing us. We refuse to believe the facts.
An autopsy was performed by the Westchester County Medical Examiner's Office on the body of Diane Schuler, the operator of the 2003 Ford van who was responsible for this crash. The toxicology from that autopsy shows that Diane Schuler had a blood alcohol content of 0.19%. The legal limit for intoxication in New York State is 0.08%. Toxicology also reveals that Diane Schuler had a high level of THC. THC is the active ingredient contained in marijuana.
The weight is what's very important in calculating the number of drinks, and with that level of alcohol, it's approximately 10 drinks are still in her at this time.
We want to speak to you about the events that occurred, and I'll tell you quite candidly that I didn't see any real benefit, except my client wants to talk about his wife.
So at this point, anything that they say aside from, we are sorry, we did not know our Diane had a problem. At this point, anything they say other than that is a slap in the face to the victims of the accident. Because they've just had a press conference. They've just explained the toxicology report. Everybody at this point knows that it was Diane's fault, that she was drunk, and that she murdered every child in that family and 3 grown men in another vehicle. And now they're holding a press conference and they're going to double down on her innocence and just completely decimate any empathy I may have had for this family.
She was not an alcoholic. She rarely had a drink. She got in the van with the children.
Why does this guy sound like Donald Trump?
And what should have taken a 35-minute drive took almost 4 hours.
Listen to this. I go to bed every night knowing my heart is clear. She did not drink. She's not an alcoholic. Listen to all that. She is not an alcoholic. And my heart is resting every night when I go to bed. Something medically had to happen.
Your
My
heart
name
is
is
resting
Jay
in
Schuler.
lies.
I'm married to Danny's brother, Jimmy Schuler. Diane was my sister-in-law. Family was the most important thing to her. To have the cousins all playing together. There is no way she would ever jeopardize the children.
Killed them all. She killed them all. She would never jeopardize them, but she killed them all. And when the one reached out and called her father for help, She left the phone behind to make sure that they could not again call for help. The denial is absolutely twisted and sickening. If anybody wants to watch this entire documentary, it is on YouTube. But I think they do show her body somewhere in it, so be prepared for that. I almost forgot to tell y'all the punchline. Daniel Schuler, the guy in that video denying that his wife was an alcoholic, went on to sue his brother-in-law, claiming that Diane was using the brother-in-law's vehicle, and therefore it's really the brother-in-law's fault. Yeah, that happened. That's a normal response.